right, so Scott Stratten is the president of Unmarketing. He is an expert in viral, social, and authentic marketing, which he calls unmarketing. Formerly a music industry marketer, national sales training manager, and professor at the Sheridan College School of Business, he ran his agency for nearly a decade before solely focusing on speaking at events for companies like PepsiCo, Adobe, Red Cross, Hard Rock Cafe, Cirque du Soleil, Saks Fifth Avenue, Deloitte, and Fidelity Investments when they need help guiding their way through the viral social media and relationship marketing landscape. He now has over 175,000 people who follow his rants on Twitter and was named one of the top 5 social media influencers of the world on Forbes.com. He has written 4 best-selling business books, the newest being Unselling, the New Customer Experience, which was just named Sales Book of the Year by 1-800-CEO Read. His passion comes out most when speaking on stage, preaching engagement, and becoming one of the most sought-after speakers on the subject. Along with Allison Kramer, their podcast has been signed by the CBS network as their premier business podcast to launch their new digital network. His clients' viral marketing videos have been viewed over 60 million times, and he's recently appeared in the Wall Street Journal, Huffington Post, USA Today, Entrepreneur Magazine, CNN.com, Inc.com, and Fast Company, and was named America's top 10 marketing guru by Business Review USA. So please join me in a warm welcome in welcoming Scott Stratten.
All right. I have to shorten my bio because I was getting sick of it, and I wrote it. Did you, first off, let's get some housekeeping done. Did you want to address the man bun now? Or do you want to talk about it later? Should we finish this off? Let me just switch over to my slide deck, and we'll be good to go. There I am. Don't look ahead in the slides. It ruins it. There. Okay. I am Canadian. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. No, don't give pity applause to the Canadian. It just encourages them. So I have a message from all of Canada. I come on behalf of the country to you. A question about your upcoming elections. What's up? What's the deal? We're just sitting up there with popcorn. Well, poutine. We're sitting up there just watching over the border. No wall whatsoever. Watching it and how... All right, it's as political as I'm going to get. So... thank you for having me. I am a marketer. I was an affiliate for quite some time, and now I do this for a living. I get to go around the world yelling about marketing. It's awesome. It's a funny way to say I don't work. I don't have a job at all. Exotic places like Istanbul and Australia, Thailand, Long Island, Rhode Island, actually as well. So I want to give you my street cred first, if I can. One of the things I'm known for that's not in my long-winded bio is that I own this. It's the no button. Has anybody been to the no button before? Anybody here ever pressed it? All right, let me get a view. I'm going to bring it up real quick here for a second. So the no button I created in 2009. And let me just show it to you. I'm just going to search no on Google, and it's going to pop up. So the no button is something I came up with. I ripped off of George Lucas. And it simply does one thing. That's the entire website. There is no other part of this website. There's no other page. There's no other thing. It's simply no.com. N plus 15 O's.com. Why 15 O's in the URL? Because 14 was already registered. And that's what it is. It's also instantnobutton.com. And this is the stats for the page. How much do you hate me at this moment? How much do you just walk out right now? So about just under 29 million sessions with 33 million page views. Now the average session duration is 27 seconds. The clip is 4 seconds long. I don't know what they're doing for the other 23 seconds, except calling their friends over to their cubicle to watch it play as well. Page sessions, 1.15 pages per session. I don't understand all analytics. There's one page on the site. I don't know what the 0.15 is, and 91% of people leave and 9% have never left in their life. So that's amazing to me. Here's where I rank in Google for things. The site ranks #1 in Google for every version of the word no except the actual word no. So N with more than one O, and this site is #1 across the globe. I hate Me Too at this point. I hate Me Too. This is the top cities that use the no button. This changes, by the way, depending on what's going on in the world. When the World Cup happens, bananas amount of use on this button. Whatever goal score, the other team starts pressing the no button. It's amazing. I can't wait for the Olympics. It's going to be amazing. So Moscow, second group of people are creepy. They don't want you to know where they are. Then New York, London, St. Petersburg, Warsaw, LA, Kiev, Sydney, and then my city of Toronto, which is an amazing insight for us. We have an app on the Google Store. iTunes would not give us an app for the button. They said the button was too much like the website. The website's a button. Forget it. So we have about 4.5 stars on the Google Play Store. You ever tried to put something on that store? They are the people who use Androids, no offense, are the meanest people on earth. They want free apps and they want them now and they're going to rip them apart. So get 4.5 stars was pretty awesome for us, and we're at about 75,000 installs for it now. We make a couple bucks a month through AdWords on the page, but we get 10,000 visitors consistently since 2009 per day. I don't know what to do with it, by the way. So if you know any affiliate programs or something you think should be on there, you let me know, because I don't know what to do with the thing. But that's my cred. This is also my cred. This is me at South by Southwest in 2010 or 11. That's the shirt I made, which says I'm kind of a big deal on a fairly irrelevant social media site that falsely inflates my ego. The picture went viral, like tens of millions of views, but this picture didn't go viral, by the way. This picture did. They cut my frickin' head off and then sent it. Like MySpace Tom shared it on his account, which is, for an old school geek, is epic. And I'm like, it went bananas, like where things go bananas, which is Reddit. And somebody starts sharing it, and it goes insane. Front page on Reddit, and I'm a geek, and I'm just like, oh, that's me. The people are like, no, it's not you. I'm like, those are my nipples. I know them anywhere. I know if I saw those running into them on a street. So that was the difference. So then I got we got the views with no attribution to me. All I got to see was anonymous comments of how fat I am and how terrible the t-shirt is. So that's my claim to fame as well. That's what I get to do. I also know how to make things viral on Instagram. This is the people shouldn't make quotes from themselves and share them quote. Okay, let me explain the joke to you. Let me explain it. That's me quoting myself. Can you just not do that? Can we stop doing that? Can we stop sharing quotes of ourselves on things, because you look like a jackass when you do those things. Okay, Gary does that. I'm gonna stop. We also talk about things, we're big on ethics as well and on marketing, and we have a show on podcast, and we kind of rip apart things we don't think are ethical. Totally unrelated, here's Scott Disick from the Kardashians, and it's not totally unrelated. So this is his Instagram post. I know some of you saw this. This is kind of his sponsored post for, what is this? It's Boo Tea Shake. Get it? It's Boo, and then T-E-A, shake. It's a shake to make your booty, I don't know, bigger or smaller. What's in right now? I don't know, one of the two. So he shares it as because somebody obviously paid him to share it. But did you see what he wrote as the caption on it? He wrote, "Here you go, at 4 p.m. Eastern time, right the below. Caption, keeping up with the summer workout routine with my morning booty protein shake." Okay, some of you aren't even smiling right now. Can I explain what happened here? Let me walk you through this for you. What happened was the PR person for Booty Shake sent him an email, said, please copy and paste this stuff below. Now, instructions can be vague sometimes, and it gets confusing. Phones get weird, copying, pasting, I get it. But to actually paste, here you go, write the below, and then realize, oh, it's like when you have, copy and paste this, they copy and paste the phrase copy and paste this. This is what happened. By the way, this is not the first time that he's done it. And one thing, and for me, the concerning part for me isn't the fact that over 4,000 people had already liked this within the 20 minutes he had it. By the way, this was up for 7 hours. I'm going to let that percolate for a second with you. Nobody pulled this down for 7 hours. And apparently, it had no effect either because it got liked and hearted and everything else. My problem is here, obviously, is he also didn't disclose it. He didn't disclose he's getting paid. He didn't disclose he's getting sponsored. People were like, well, yeah, obviously, and it's not. It's not obviously. The law doesn't say it's obvious. The general public, it's the layman, doesn't realize it's obvious. You're supposed to disclose these things. One of his family members, the lesser-known sister, Kim, come on, not even a Kardashian joke's going to work? Is that not going to happen here? Please. So did you see what she did last year? It was like to do with her pregnancy, and she was it's a pharmaceutical that she promoted. And the problem is here, once you jump into pharmaceutical type of things, you have an entire world of legislation and legal hurdles, and she just posted it saying, this is what I use. And you can't. Did you see she had to delete it, put it back up, and because you ever seen a magazine ad for a pharmaceutical? The entire 2 pages after it are all the different legal disclaimers. She had to put a bunch of that in the post and then link to the actual full regulation guidelines. But the problem, and where the government also has a problem with it, is in the comments of Instagram, in your description, the links aren't clickable. So it's almost like the link isn't there. So it's like, well, we're going to put the link because we have to, but not because it would save people with their lives, and with regulations and contradictions with other medications. So this is where people say it's a gray area, but it's not. It really isn't a gray area here. We did some research. We went through almost 1,000 different sponsored posts by not being officially sponsored. Just posts that then mentioned Booty, the Tea Talks. The names are incredible, by the way. They're a marketing incubator. Tea Talks for detox tea. What other ones popular on Instagram? Teeth whitening. You ever seen that thing with the light? And a bunch of people have it. And a bunch of protein shakes. And we looked at all of them, and we found 98% of these, not once, had even a hashtag. When they have the 9,700 hashtags at the bottom underneath the post, not even one of them said ad or sponsor. The government says you can even say, we partnered up with. That's allowed. That's disclosure. But not even that. And that hurts when it comes down to those things for me, because we don't like when those things happen. So I'm an old school sales and marketing guy. One of my only 2 jobs out of college was I was the national sales training manager of a packaging company. I flew around North America training people how to sell bubble wrap. I'm gonna say that again. I flew around North America training people how to sell bubble wrap. If you think what you sell is hard to sell, I sold air. That's the whole sentence. I sold air. That's all I did. That's tough. That's a commodity to be able to do. So for me, the problem with these days, we think that sales and marketing has changed. And to me, everything has changed and nothing is different. When it comes to the funnel, it's very simple. Marketing creates interest, sales converts. That's how it's supposed to do. You're supposed to lead them down to your funnel. The problem is we think the funnel has changed now. Now we think it's a whole bunch of worlds. My funnel to me, especially in your world, is an email address. And some people start getting away from that. They start saying, no, it's all these other things. It's social, and it's all these other. Now, understanding that I still think email is the #1 way to connect, to convert, to create sales. But people are like, no, we got to go through all these other channels now. And the difference is a huge fundamental difference. And I know you guys know this partially or fully understand this part, but we can't weigh these the same as email. I'm a huge social media fan, by the way. Don't get me wrong. If it wasn't for Justin Bieber, I'd be the most popular Canadian on Twitter. But it's not the same. 100,000 Twitter followers are not the same as 100,000 email addresses, or even 10,000, even 1,000. I would take 1,000 confirmed email opt-ins than 100,000 Twitter followers. And that's not what I don't say that lightly. I have 185,000 followers on Twitter. I've tweeted over 110,000 times, all manually, not scheduled, not synced, not Instagram posts automatically coming into my tweet feed, nothing. All with these two thumbs. I've done the work. We have over 40,000 people on our Facebook page. I have 8,000 connections on LinkedIn. I only know 4 people in real life. I don't know who any of these people are. But the point is, I live in this space so I understand its capabilities and its limits. And the limit is this. With an email, if I send it, the lead or the person or the customer or the friend or the family member, when they get the email, they have to react. It's reactive-based communication, meaning they have to do something to the email. Read it, delete it, save it for later, which means you'll never read it anyways, but the onus of action is on the receiver of the email. The problem with social, inherently, since the dawn of social media, has been it's not necessarily reactive. If I have 1,000 followers on Twitter and I tweet something, those 1,000 people don't have to decide to read it, reply, follow, unfollow, favorite. If I have a Facebook page, how you doing? If I have a Facebook page and I have 1,000 people on the Facebook page and I post something, 1,000 people don't, this is awkward. And I'll have 1,000 people. Hi. So, if I have 1,000 people on my Facebook page, that's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, and I send out a Facebook post, 1,000 people don't have to decide to like it or comment or share on their timeline. This making sense? There's time decay, there's recency effect that's happening. So if I'm not there within 5-10 minutes, it doesn't happen. It never happened. What's the average reach on Facebook for a business page? Anybody know? Like a 0.1% now? We average 86% on our page. That's a vanity metric, by the way, which means nothing. But the point is that we will not reach everybody who has liked it. And if we get through spam filters and email, everybody should eventually get it as long as they're checking their email. There is a fundamental difference between those two things. These things, to me, are not part of a funnel. They're more of a sieve. Okay? Social, to me, the best part of it is the back and forth, the conversation. The community, the connection that happens in there. It is not a great, to me, direct sales and marketing platform, through my experience. It is for what it is, talking, social. I've been saying the same damn thing since 2008. I actually did a workshop for Affiliate Summit, 2010, I think I did it? I think it was like, what is Twitter? Or I don't know what it was, but it was in the old days. But it's still true today because it's still being done. We think it's an equal sales and marketing platform, and to me it's not. It's different. We have to address it. But people are like, Scott, we have to get on there. We have to be on the Chapsnats, and we have to be on the Book Faces and the Tweezers, and we have to be catching Pokemon because the millennials are coming. And when the millennials are here, they're not going to use email anymore, and they're not going to be able to fax, and they're not going to be able to do any of these things because they're all on their phones, and they're coming like it's an alien ship about to land. When we say millennial, selling to them, working with them, marketing to them, when we say the word millennials, we actually don't know what that means. Okay? Millennials are actually between about 18 and 35 years old. Who in this room is between 18 and 35? Put your hands up. Oh God, they're here. Okay, I didn't realize it was the demographic. So, fellow old people, listen to me for a second. I'm going to continue this talk over a corded landline, and we're going to send you copies on a cassette tape, and you can listen on your Walkman later on the street with your bright yellow shining beacon of music. Okay, so what we mean when we say millennials, just so you young folks know, what we mean when we say the word millennials is people younger than us, and we don't like them. That's what yes, that's what we mean. Really, I'm going to be honest with you guys. So you have the ammunition now, you know. It's people younger than us, and we don't like them because they're younger than us. That's simply how it works, okay? We just want you to feel pain, just a little bit of suffering. If you look at my face closely, or not even closely, there's bags under my eyes. This is a result of rewinding while growing up, rewinding tapes and video cassettes and audio tapes. And the rental store would give me $1 for the next rental if I rewound it. I'm going to identify, by the way, the non-millennials in the audience, if I could here. I'm going to say a phrase, and I want you to complete it for me. Ready? Be kind. Rewind. Oh, I love you people. All right. And if you're in Canada, it was be kind, please rewind. That's how we did it. We just want them to suffer a little bit, just a bit. Just a bit. Instead of getting your music on demand of any song in history, how about you hold down play, record, and pause and wait for your song to come on the radio, right? If the DJ would shut up for a second, because you're thinking it may be Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe, but you're not sure, so you need to wait, and then you say, yes, here we go. And then he starts talking a third of the way with the rest of the song, and you just want to lose your mind. And then the tape fills up, and then you got to take Scotch tape and tape over the holes and do something else for it. See? My people are in this room. You feel my pain, right? You feel my pain. That's all. Just suffer a little bit, all right? You know what we did when we called somebody they didn't answer? We called later. That's how this stuff happens. My son, there was a busy signal 6 months ago on my phone. It was busy. I'm like, cool. And then you can hear this, ooh, ooh, ooh. And one of our kids is like, what's that noise? Like, it's a busy signal. I'm not following. What is a busy signal? What is a phone? Why are you calling people? I don't understand. There's 100 ways to get in touch with them. Are you going to go play with your friend? I'm playing with him right now. Oh, I get you. I get you. The problem is when we say millennials is we're trying to do a bias, a stereotype, to be not joking, that it's an allowable bias in society and it's not right. We're pigeonholing. I know there's millennials in this room that get the whole play, record, and pause joke. I know that. I get that. The problem is we're stereotyping. We're stereotyping like 18 years of people. Stereotyping 1 year of people isn't good. 18 years is ridiculous. Have things changed? Of course. Of course tech has changed, but I've changed too. I watch Netflix. I binge watch House of Cards and Mr. Robot, right? Mr. Robot's not on Netflix. I know that, but it's coming. Anyway, so on demand though, when I had to watch TV last week because we were watching the Jays game and commercials came on, I was disgusted. Like, what are these things doing here? I only have cable to watch football and baseball and award shows. It's the only reason we have it. So I embrace the new geniuses of our world for creating these things. Thank you. But we see this bias, and now we see content based on it. I saw a blog post that said, millennials don't like meetings. Who likes meetings? What generation likes meetings? Who's sitting around an office today saying, you know what, I could go for a meeting? Ralph, let's go for a meeting. Oh, giddy up, let's do this. What are you going to say in the meeting? Oh, I'm going to throw some of my subordinates under the bus. What are you going to do? I'm going to take credit for some of their ideas. Awesome. What are you going to do, Jeff? I'm going to cover my own ass. Wicked. All right. What are you looking forward to the most, Frank? I'm looking forward to taking a meeting for 3 hours that could have been solved in 4 emails. Let's go. Here we go. They don't want to waste time. I get it. This is millennials. They want to change the world. Good. It needs changing. Let them. I saw another post in a fancy magazine online, and it said, millennials like to travel. Everybody likes to travel. We just have a mortgage. We have a mortgage and children that the law says we have to watch them until they're at least 18. So much for throwing jerky into the middle of the room and saying, see you next week. Apparently it's frowned upon to do that. We have 5 kids. They can watch each other. It's just fine. It's just fine. One gets out of line, 4 left. We're good. Lord of the Flies, Canadian version. It's in igloos. So that's how it works. So this is the problem. It's an allowable bias. We all love to travel. Millennials, you have to give them recognition because they need to feel appreciated in the workplace. Everybody wants to need that. Everybody feels that. The problem is millennials still have something us old people don't. Hope. They have hope in the workplace. They're like, this could be something. You're like, oh, that's cute. Don't worry, give them time. It'll change. It'll go away. It's like The Walking Dead. Inc. It's like a corporate Walking Dead. That's what it is. Let them have their hope. It has to die on its own. Just let it come out on its own. You can't push it down. Allow it to happen. Use that energy and enthusiasm, and then we can use our bittered experience to then put it together and create something awesome. Stereotyping shouldn't be allowed in any sense of the imagination, let alone age. We can learn something from each other in all these different groups and all these different age ranges. So don't allow that bias to take over for you. One of the things I really wanted to cover with you guys is something that happened to us about a year and a half ago when it came to ethics and disclosure. I'm just going to drink a half gallon of water here. Hang on. I don't think that was my water, actually. Okay. Oh, I feel gross now. So, since I don't have a job, I'm highly unemployable. I think entrepreneur is actually Latin for unemployable. That's the actual translation of it. Our job, so when I say our, I mean Alice and myself, is who's my business partner and our co-author and co-host of the show, and most awesome for me, my wife. Our job is just to find stuff, to stay on top of the industry. When something goes wrong, every day we get emails and messages on Facebook and tweets saying, did you see this? Our show is called The Unpodcast, the business show for the fed up. We talk about train wrecks in business. So every day it's a never-ending funnel of wicked terribleness. You never want your company name to come after the "did you see this," right? Ever. So sometimes we find it on our own. So we wake up one morning and we're in our office, which is our bedroom. So I'm in bed and I'm on my phone, pretend this is a phone, and I pull up the App Store and I pull it up every day. And I always want to stay on top of not seeing what is popular, but why. That's my big thing, is the why. I didn't understand Snapchat when I got it, but I wanted to figure out why. Why was it popular? How did things go viral if you can't share them? Who's DJ Khaled? They're going through all these type of things. I'm on there now. He's not following me yet, but he will. So understanding it. So then one day I wake up a little while ago, and the Bell Mobility app is near the top of the store. And Bell is one of our national phone providers in Canada. So just insert AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile, wherever you want for here. But this is one of our national companies. Now, this is their original app in the store. Okay? So their app originally current version has 2 stars, and all versions averages 2 out of 5 stars, 2,600 ratings. Makes sense, right? It's an app that allows you to see usage and pay your bill. Right? It's not getting Pokemon 5-star numbers, yes? By the way, oh my freaking Lord, Pokemon here. In my room, I caught 365 of them in about 6 seconds last night. I live in a suburb. There's 9 in the entire town. I'm setting lures for everybody. You're welcome, by the way. I'm setting lures. There's battles at gyms beside me like it's World War Z. It's just happen all day, and it's amazing. By the way, we only got it in Canada 2 weeks ago. And so the day we got it, I went out with one of the kids, our 14-year-old. And so if you have a 14, you understand that he hates me. So we're walking. He doesn't hate me. So we walk around the corner, and we have a stop, right? So I put a lure in, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And he's like, I'm bored. Goes back home. So I'm like, okay, man, cool. And I'm sitting there by the park, by the lure, and then the children start showing up. And Allison texts me, what are you doing? I'm like, I just set a lure at the park. She doesn't play Pokemon. She's like, come again? I'm like, hang on, I gotta go. The kids are coming. And these kids just all start flocking out of nowhere on bikes, skateboards. They're like, hey man, did you set the lure? I'm like, I don't know how to answer that. I don't know how to answer that. You need to get an adult. Find your parents. I gotta go home. Imagine this sitting in a park, but with a ball cap. That's what was sitting there. So, careful, children. So, anyway, sorry, Pokemon rant. Yeah, Team Mystic. So, blue one. So, this is the old app. They released a new app. Now, I don't know how many of you know this, but if you want to get rid of bad ratings of an app, there's 2 ways to do it. Please don't use this for evil, only for good. One is to release a new version. Okay? That is, then it'll show you, like here, it says current version versus all versions. And the current versions are what defaults in the reviews to show everybody. But if you really want to get spicy, just release an entirely new app, even though it's the same one, and do what Bell did and release it under an entirely new company. So there's no trace of the app whatsoever. So this is their new app. This app, My Bell Mobile, which is exactly pretty much the same as the old one almost, has 4.5 stars out of 5 at 89 ratings. Now, 1 rating by somebody who's a friend of the family of somebody who made it, fine. 89 4.5 stars? I already told you how hard it is to get a 4.5-star rating, and I'll be damned if a phone company is going to equal my no button in ratings on a platform. So I start investigating. There's no way. It's not passing the sniff test. So I start reading the reviews. And the first one says, works great. Makes it so easy now to check my profile and pay my bill. Nice, clean design and very user-friendly. Exclamation point. You know who uses exclamation points in reviews? There's only one group of people. Marketers. The inhuman marketers. That's who use it. But what human would speak like this? Nobody. Only a marketer. Next review. Good job, much improved, like the new look, faster and easier to use, exclamation point. What? This is a marketing convention? Next one, awesome app and very user-friendly, looking forward to including BTV and home phone services in future releases, exclamation, what? Future releases? Not even marketers say that, directors of marketing say that now. How are you in the know of a future release? What? And then Shell says, nice upgrade, easy to use, was able to manage my bills with no problems. Who's excited about bills? I'm like, no, 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 no. There's no way this is happening. There's no way. And by the way, these are the top reviews, filtered by most voted as helpful. This is 4 out of 24 we found like this. So we're like, let's find out what's going on. So we went underground. We pulled up like an Onion and a Tor browser, going underground, going into WikiLeaks. We used this site, it's where you can find people, called LinkedIn. And we went there. It's a joke. It's just LinkedIn's available to everybody. And we start searching their names because their real names have to be their name on their Apple accounts. Can I present to you the associate director of Bell, the marketing manager at Bell, the performance manager at Bell, and the quality assurance manager at Bell? This is 4 out of 24 employees that we could sync to that. Mind you, by the way, I don't have 100% knowledge of it, but I'm guessing 99.99% sure they're exact accounts. Why? Because they admitted to it. So I decide to then, I let it go. I'm like, oh, well, who cares, right? I let it, okay, oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't let it go. I wrote a blog post. I called it For Whom the Bell Mobility Tolls. And that's the greatest title of a blog post in history, by the way. As a writer, you wait your whole life for that opportunity for that title. So I go put it out there. By the way, here's the real reviews buried at the bottom. 1 star, 2 star, 1 star. That's more like it. That's how, because you don't need good reviews. You have to download it. It's on your phone. Like you have, it's like it's forced, almost forced on you if you want to pay your bill. They don't need the good reviews. And why these were buried, even though they are more recent, is because each employee voted each other's review as helpful. And it moved them all the way up. Ooh. So, wrote the blog post. It went bananas. It went all over the world. Here's one of our CBC, this is a national. Bell employees planted glowing online reviews. Hit the newspaper, Globe and Mail. I was on TV, on radio. Awesome. And then the Canadian Competition Bureau said they're investigating them. And I'm like, oh. And I hadn't even put pants on yet. Yeah, that's before 10 a.m. right there, kids. So they go nuts. And somebody wrote in the comment in that blog post simply 2 words that hurt. They wrote 2 words, and they said, who cares? Who cares? Who gives a rat's ass about this? And I'm like, I do. I care. I love the internet. I love the online community. I've been online since '94, and I haven't logged off. I've seen every site on the internet. Yeah, that one too. Yeah, all of them. Been to all of them twice. All right, I love community. And I love the ecosystem of community and peer reviews. I think it makes the world go round with travel, purchasing, restaurants, everything. Yelp, TripAdvisor, App Store, Amazon, even back in the eBay starting of the 5 stars or nothing review days. This is why what matters to me is ethics and integrity, and you don't get it back. Integrity is not a renewable resource quarterly. Once it's gone, it's gone. It erodes trust. You're in a business of trust. What you guys do is a business of trust. I have to trust that if I use something, if I do it, if I get a sale, it's tracked properly, I get paid properly, and it all works, and there's no cheats, and there's no bots, and it's all trust. You compromise it, it's gone. It doesn't come back next June. It's not there. And then what happened was the Canadian Competition Bureau investigated it, and that was it, and I walked away. And about a year later, I get a phone call. I'm headed to a Jays game on the train. I get a call from a reporter and says, "What do you think about today's ruling?" And I'm like, "Ruling about what? Did I do something wrong?" They're like, "No, it's the Bell verdict. It came out." I'm like, "Oh, what is it?" I never thought it would come out. And they said, "Well, first they have to be," they apologized, and they have to send people for ethics workshops and training. And I'm like, "Do they need somebody to run the training?" I could do it. Just give me 5 stars. So it was good. So and they also said, and 2, they fined them $1.25 million for it. And I'm like, "Oh, thank you very much." And then I got my bill. I'm a customer of Bell. Other items, $1.25 million for. It didn't. But yeah, I was a customer for over 20 years with them too. So the point is that I want to stand up and say something. I think that we need to be able to put it out there saying, no, this is not right. It's why we do the show. You've got to be able to say, no, that's not right. You can't, there's a bunch of stories happened in the past couple months of companies where they give rewards for sales and for affiliates, and they've pulled the programs. It's not working anymore, it's not economically feasible for us, it's not this, and just blatantly screw it up. And they get angry, and rightfully so. And ours is a show where we come out and we will tell people about it and also share it. One of the other things that gets me kind of upset in this world is the use of technology for the sake of using technology. And my poster child for this is QR codes. Will I get in trouble if I put the water on the table in front of the logo? Okay, good. Missy right there, everybody. That's shocking. Yeah, I don't want to cover anybody else up. So, QR codes. I have no problem with the technology itself. I love it. It's fascinating. It's been around for decades. It's been used in automotive and logistics and fulfillment. And they're on my boarding pass for my flight. They're on concert tickets, sports tickets, hospital wristband. They're just a better barcode. The problem is, if you want to screw a technology up, just let us marketers at it. And we'll do it. And what happened is consumer-facing marketing took over for them. Except consumers didn't adopt it. They didn't. Now, if the iPhone or an Android, if an iPhone, when I pull up my phone, if in the native camera itself, if it recognized QR codes in it and automatically said, "Would you like to scan this QR code?" Brilliant. I wouldn't even be talking about them today. Our 3rd book is named QR Codes Kill Kittens. That's the name of the book. I wouldn't have even written that thing if that's what these cameras would do. But it's not. It was not adapted. It is not used by consumers. I'll give you an example of one here. Here's a sign for the John Deere Classic. This is a great golf event. It says, "Download the John Deere Classic app." Smart, right? Like you guys had in the slide before I came on, right? Download the app. It's very simple. And they've even gone one step better, by the way. They have 2 QR codes. On the right, it says Scan for Android app. On the left, it says Scan for iPhone app, which is smart. iPhone people don't like Android people. Android people don't like iPhone people. It's very simple. And there's 9 Canadians in the background saying, "BlackBerry's still relevant," right? That's how it works. So it's smart. People are walking around watching the tournament right there with their phones in their hands. Boom, download the app. Except the sign beside it says use of mobile devices are prohibited in this area, which is a contradiction. Same guy zip-tied both signs, I think, by the way. Just, I don't care, whatever. And he puts them up and walks away. So we just have to, I just want us to think. I want us to think before we QR. I want us to think before we do. Now, one of the issues as well with these platforms and digital and social and how it all works and why it's changed and why it somewhat hasn't is the speed of things. People say we're in a real-time marketing world, and I call it a no-time marketing world. There's not time to make decisions, to meet, to decide. You can't take a week, you can't take a day. Things happen so quickly. So I want to give you an example of using these platforms properly in a situation that goes really poorly. And I had a problem with an airline, and they're pretty popular here. I'm not going to name them, but I had a problem with an airline, and I had a problem with an airline here at JFK a while ago. And Allison and I love New York City. Usually we stay in Chelsea when we come, and we want to buy a place there. We saw condos across the street from the Highline Hotel where we usually stay. We saw condos there and stuff, and we're like, we want to buy a place when we have like $42 million to buy it, and for the down payment. And nuts. And so we're just going to stay in the hotel. So we are down here, and we love everything about it. We love sitting on a stoop and watching people and getting mad at tourists and stuff. It's amazing. And what we hate here is the airports. Like JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark are 3 out of my 4 horsemen. I cannot deal with the airports. And I'd rather fly from Toronto to Orlando and then drive up to Manhattan than fly into here. I can't, my entire soul has changed just walking through LaGuardia yesterday. It's just I can't, after the 7-hour ground halt that we had in Toronto. So I love the place, hate the airports. But anyways, we show up at JFK in the Delta hub, and we show up early like responsible Canadians. And we show up like 3 days early before our flight. And like, when's your flight, sir? I'm like, Wednesday. So we're in line, and I'm being a Canadian ambassador like I usually am when I'm away from home. I'm like, what are you talking to Boudet? And pour maple syrup on people. And it's what we do. So about halfway through the line, the intercom comes on. It's like, Albuquerque flight, 5 p.m., please come to the front. You been around for this? Where they call up the late flights that are going to be leaving soon or something, and they start jumping the line on you when you've been waiting patiently the whole time. So I jumped to stage 1 of Canadian anger, which is passive-aggressive politeness. So I'm like, no, after you, sir. Yeah. Yo, I know, you're late. Yeah, I know. I planned ahead and was early, but go ahead. Yeah, no, your lack of planning is my emergency, please. What's that? There was traffic? What? In Manhattan? Are you new here? All right, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. What's that? Oh, you have a flight to catch. We're just in line for burritos here. Yeah, no. There's a Shake Shack in the terminal. That's where we're going. Don't worry about it. So I get it. We finally get to the front of the line, and I get in front of security, and I get ready to go through the detectors, and I get naked, and I put it all in the buckets, and I shoot the buckets down the rail, and just then the dance of the flight attendants and pilots happens. You've been around for this Cirque du frickin' Soleil production? They walk in like, oh, with their badge and their carry-on with 17 bags hanging off it. Don't know how that makes the rules right. So walking through, and you don't even exist. You're like Hollow Man. You're like invisible, right? They just walk right through. And right through you with no acknowledgement, no excuse me, no nothing. Now, I understand why they get to skip the line, partially. But they have to understand the first rule of Flight Club, and that is Flight Club. That was good. So, and that is the plane will leave without me, the paying customer. It will not leave without you, the pilot. You have the keys to, I don't know if planes have keys, and my foot is moving a gas pedal right now, which is why I don't fly planes. So understand that we'll all get there eventually, but that does not excuse you from common courtesy. I don't care who you work for, where you're from, what your lapel pin says of what airline you're with, or how many miles you have. It does not excuse you from common courtesy. Please, thank you, excuse me. My mama raised me right. We be kind to each other, not as a Canadian, but as humans. We need to be kind to each other, and especially in places of high stress, like airports. Except, at this moment in time, I'm no longer feeling kind. I was hip-checked by 7 flight attendants coming through there, and by the 7th, I was no longer Canadian. Like, I renounced my citizenship, and I turned to her, and I jumped to stage 12 of Canadian anger, which is Canadian swearing. And I turned to her, and I unleashed the 2 words a Canadian should never say. I look at her and I yell, "Come on!" So I promised him I wouldn't swear. Actually, I think I said, "Come on, I'm sorry." Like I immediately became Canadian again after it happened. And she turns around and goes, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, hello." Not one of you says, excuse me. And she looks at me and goes, I said, excuse me. Now, in that exact tone, by the way, the exact sound, it was a woman, but it was a very low voice. And you have to understand my mindset at this moment. Half my brain is upset and hurt and offended as a consumer, but the other half of my brain, as a show host and a speaker and an author about brand train wrecks, is ecstatic right now. I'm like, give me one more line and I can use this in a talk, please. So you know one more line's coming, right? Okay, so I looked at her and I said, I didn't hear any one of you say excuse me. And she looks me right in the eyes and says, well then open your ears. My frozen face. So I was looking around for CNN. I'm like, Canadian gets told off at New York airport. Where is the news? I need a crew in here right now. I'm so angry, I'm silent. I have nothing. And she walks through. I said, excuse me. I said, excuse me. And I'm going through just I can't even fathom what just happened. And I'm freaking out. So I go to stage 20 of Canadian anger, and I start making my shun list. You've made them. You know it. I will never fly Delta again. Our children will never fly Delta. It's going in my will. You want to make this up to me? I'm a big deal on Twitter. I want my own plane. I want to sit on the pilot's lap. And I want 2 bags of pretzels, not just one. And when I ask for the second one, I don't want a saucy look from you. Right? Do you have any idea who I think I am? So, I do the only thing, I jump to stage 25 of Canadian anger, do the only thing a social media diva can do. I send a tweet. And I say, Delta Airlines flight attendant pushes in front of me at JFK security. When asked for at least an excuse me, she replies, open your ears. I am so furious. I am so blind with rage. I misspelled Delta. Detla. Congratulations, Scott. You look like a moron now. And I sent it out, and 3 minutes later, Delta replies with, I'm truly sorry to hear this. We expect our flight attendants to be courteous at all times. Please accept my apology. And I get it. 3 minutes later, I'm right there. I'm still in the gate area. I get it. I'm like, oh, if you think you can, okay. I didn't think you'd see it. I spelt it Detla. I'm sorry, too. So how are you? I'm totally disarmed. I got nothing. I got nothing to say. When people complain online, what they're looking for, first and foremost, is validation. Validation they've been heard. You notice in this, she didn't offer me anything. She didn't offer me a mythical pretend 10,000 miles that just are numbers in the air. They didn't offer me a refund or an upgrade. They offered me an apology, but an actual apology versus one that just sounded cookie cutter. Like I pictured her sitting there going, oh no, and then types it out, and I felt bad. Now, how did they find this tweet, by the way? It didn't even spell properly. How did they find it? I didn't at them, nothing. They have a social media listening software, and they have a certain string set up to listen for angry misspellings of their name. Now that's using social smart. If you cover off the angry misspellers and the all cappers, you'll cover all the complaints, I think, for your company. But here's the key. Here's the key. People in social media talk about authenticity. They talk about transparency. Both important, very important. I think those both happen automatically sometimes. But they're both very important. But the third pillar, we don't mention a lot. We don't realize in this world that it's the same thing. Now, if this reply was sent instead of 3 minutes later, instead it was sent 3 hours later, would my reaction to it be different? Would yours? Of course. I would have been on the flight and gone. If this reply was sent instead of 3 minutes later, it was sent 3 days later, would my reaction be different? And would yours? This would have made me angrier, right? If you ever gotten a late apology, you're like, oh, thanks, thanks a lot. I'm already home. Doesn't matter. Authenticity, transparency, crucial. But immediacy, the speed at which we reply, especially to problems, is almost paramount to what we reply with. Acknowledging the fact you've been heard, the person has now been listened to. Just by saying something, I'm sorry, let me look into this for you, can calm the fires down so much. I called up Bell a couple years ago. I had a problem with I came down to the States roaming data. Oh, sweet fancy Moses. Have you ever roamed data in another country? Not smart. I got home, bill was $960 for data. I'm like, oh no. I called up Bell, I'm like, this is crap. And she says, Scott, this is crap. Can I do everything in my control to see if I can remedy this for you? Yes. Thank you. I love you. Good customer service is disarming. It's disarming. And here's the saddest part. Unexpected. To be great at service, you only have to be average because everybody else sucks. Put that on a motivational poster, by the way. Put it in the office with an eagle hitting the side of a mountain. Like, strive to be mediocre. Like, that's what it is. The bar is really low. Just meet expectations and you exceed them. It's fascinating to me how it works. It's fascinating. And now I'm a silver adamantium diamond flyer on Delta. I don't know, whatever the medal is that you think of, that's the one I am with one tweet. What's the ROI of it? I don't know. A lot for me. This is in a book now, this story. I tell the story all around the world. They use this for their training. I don't know what the ROI of social is. I just know it's good. It's on the positive side for me because of how I've used it. No tool, nothing works inherently on its own. It's what we do and what we put into these places. Here's something that went viral at a Las Vegas furniture show. This is, they make tables and stands. This is the one-night stand you'll never regret. All right, this entire side of the room's not laughing. Let me explain it to you guys. What it means. Can you just share amongst each other what it means? Okay, so this is the Las Vegas Furniture Trade Show. This is the 5th biggest trade show in Vegas. All right, it goes like CES, 2 concrete shows, Affiliate Summit West, and then, see, I worked in forget it. So, and the furniture show. But if you've ever been to the Las Vegas Convention Center, they use the whole thing. You have to take a bus. Like, you can't walk this show in 3 days. It's incredible. I've done CES 3 years now. I still haven't seen the whole show. This is bananas. And this picture won the trade show. It got 9 million views during the trade show, all organically. So they won, right? They won the viral game. Ta-da! What's the problem? What company is it? If I would like to purchase the one-night stand I will not regret, who do I contact? You don't know, which means you got 9 million nothing. 0. It's a vanity metric. I beg of you, my fellow geeks, beware of vanity metrics. They mean nothing, they just feel good, and they equate to 0, usually. So we talked about this on the show because it's a problem, because we're chasing likes, shares, retweets, follows, all these things, hits, views, downloads. We're looking at saying, okay, which one of these equates to this funnel, to this pipeline for us? Or maybe your goal is just to get more exposure. Fine. But understand how those metrics and analytics work properly. And because we can actually blind you with lights of vanity. It happens in PR for decades, for a century. We talk about magazine pass-along rates. So we take one magazine, multiply it by 5, and that's our exposure in your magazine because it gets picked up by 5 different people. It doesn't happen. Billboards are how many cars drive by. You don't all look at them. So vanity metrics aren't new. They're new in digital, though, because now we have the analytics. Look, it's the actual number here. So we put it on the show. Alice and I talked about it on the own podcast. We put it out, and after the show aired, we got an email from Kevin. Kevin wrote, "Hey, Scott, I love the show. This is my dad's company. I was at the show. I'm taking over the company. I'm doing their marketing right now. And this is our photo." And I'm like, well, that sucks. And he says, then he told me the worst thing I've ever heard. He said, I took the photo. Wait for it. And I left the logo out on purpose. And I'm like, are you high? Why? Why did you do that? What on earth could you, any reason why? And he said, and I quote, I didn't want it to hurt the viralness of the photo. I'm like, so congratulations, you just got 9 million fake internet points, which is big on Reddit, and that's about it. And I said, and I asked him a loaded question I knew the answer to, how many pieces of furniture did this picture move for you? And his answer was 0. And he knows it, and I rubbed it in a bit. I'm sorry. So, but the point is, don't beware of vanity metrics. Just be, I can buy you views. You got an Instagram picture for your company's not doing too well? Let me know. I'll buy them. We'll get them by tomorrow. They're not going to be targeted. They probably won't be human. Beware of the vanity metric. Okay, it's what blinds people to start changing decisions quickly in business decisions and marketing decisions because that looks good. Especially public vanity, especially on Instagram when it shows how many hearts have been given or likes. It's like doing something on Facebook live video or Periscope where the hearts are flying across the screen. It feels good, doesn't it? Makes my heart all warm and fuzzy and means usually nothing. Nothing. Well, Scott, should we be using Facebook Live for our company? I don't know. Do you have anything to say in a live format? Nothing usually is good in a live format. Most people in video are terrible. Why? Because they're awkward. You need to stand in front of the video like, hey, how you doing there? You know what would be better, Jeff, what we do right now? Make it live so we can't fix it or edit it. And make the guy doing the video look down all the time at the questions coming in. And can we make hearts fly across the screen at random moments? Perfect. Let's run with this. Branding. Sweet, fancy Moses, stop it. I'm going to bust a vein right now. I'm begging of you. You're part of my team here. You're part of my crew. You understand. You understand this world and saying bright, shiny object syndrome is terrible. Okay, if somebody comes to you and says, you know what we should do? We should do a Periscope. I want you to kick them right in the face. Roundhouse, straight, I don't care what it is. And when they wake up, tell them, I don't know what happened, but somebody said something stupid and they knocked out. And then I'll stop them from saying stupid things. I don't understand companies coming to me, and we don't even consult anymore, by the way. I don't have clients, we don't do any of these things. I hate doing work. And they come to us for advice, and they're like, what should our Snapchat strategy be? And I'm like, let me see your site. And I pull up their site, and it's not even mobile friendly. Why aren't you laughing right now? It's the worst thing ever. Their house is crappy, but they want to buy a new car. Stop it. Fix it first. Can I get to your site? Can I get into your funnel in a way that's easy for me to do with not too many steps and easy and appeasing to the eye and the usability is good? Great. Now let's talk about what next. Sure. But we're jumping into these real-time platforms with part-time people as well. It's terrible. I don't want to see 17 icons on your site of where you are. I want to know you're going to be there. I want to know if there's a problem, you're going to listen to me, not spending all your time over in these places. You don't have to use any of them. Can you use Instagram? Can you use? Of course. Should you? I don't know. This is all I do and I don't know the answer. The answer is can you? And do it well. Does it add value? Does it do something for you? And if not, maybe put it aside. Don't try it because it's new. I don't want to see a 360 video of your office. It sucks. Nobody cares. Unless there's puppies. If there's puppies, I want to see it. I do. Scott, can we borrow your 360 video camera? I want to do a live thing. No, you don't. And don't ever say that to me again. That's weird. If you're filming it in the Grand Canyon, do it. Awesome. If you're doing it in Times Square, that's cool. Your office isn't usually. So relax a bit. Just relax. And let's do the smart things our business should be doing. I got one more thing to show you, but before I do, that's Allison, by the way. I get all giddy when I see her. So, by the way, we met on Twitter. Take that for ROI. What's your ROI on Twitter? Allison. I have the greatest ROI in the history of social media, by the way. I totally outkicked my coverage on every level with this woman. It's amazing. And she's the smarter one, the funnier one, the better looking one of all of us. By the way, I was doing a gig in Saskatchewan in Canada a few months ago, and I pulled this slide up, and my talk was at like 2, and I usually do morning keynotes, and I don't eat before I do, like today, I don't eat before. Not because I'm nervous, I just want stuff flying out of my mouth or indigestion. So I didn't eat until 2. And so I said, I got all morning, why don't I go for a deep tissue massage for 90 minutes? That's smart to do before a keynote. So I went and did that, and I get up there, and I'm just loony. Like, I can't even follow 3 sentences together. I'm somehow doing the keynote. I'm holding on, but in my mind, you're like, you're gonna die, you're gonna die, you're gonna die. And I'm walking around, and I get to this slide, and I try to say Allison is the funnier and smarter one, and I go, and that's my wife Allison, she's the farter. And then I froze. I have done over 300 keynotes in the past 6 years. This is what I do. I'm a professional speaker. This is my job. I never get thrown by things unless it's somebody walking behind and doing a shadow behind the screen. I don't get thrown by things. This is what I do. But when I called my wife a farter in front of 800 people, I just went like this. And my wife, she's the farter. Oh my God! And I just froze. And then everybody tweeted to her. So, couldn't keep that one in the can. So that's what happened. Anyways, if you want to get the information on the show or anything, I have nothing to sell. There's no program. I have no consulting, no coaching, no nothing. But if you text "hook me up" to 33444, I will not hook up with you, but I will hook you up with a newsletter. Now, as people in the performance marketing world and as marketers in general, I love this technology. If you want to see it, just to see how it works, by the way, your cell phone has to be in the United States for this to work, I believe. If you text that, it'll text you back with a text from me saying, I'm probably on stage right now, this is awkward. Right? You can customize that, and you put your email in the text, and it'll automatically sync it with my newsletter program, and you'll get my welcome email from the newsletter. I love, one of my problems with doing this, I know some of you speak as well, one of my problems is getting the audience to come with me after the talk. Once I get off stage, you're gone, you're like, oh, that guy the man bum was weird, and he walks away and he runs away. But to be able to pull people who like it along with me for when my blog post comes out in a couple months or whatever it is, it was really hard to do. I'm not going to pass around a clipboard. I don't want to put up an email address to email to or a URL. You'll lose people. So I use this, and it's from a company called Lead Pages, called Lead Digits. By the way, you're texting the word "hook me up" to 33444. You don't imagine how people screw this up, by the way. People come up to me and they text "hook me up" and they put 33444 in the thing, or they do all it's just, and then somebody texted their aunt once, like, it was just really weird. You realize what you think is basic is not for most people. So, anyway, there we are. There's us. Shows comes out every Wednesday. Emma is our awesome sponsor for that. We love doing it. It's just me being this, because this is me. Imagine living with me. This is me naturally. And then Allison sitting across from me in the studio and just being more reasonable and smart about it. We do full video and audio, by the way. If you don't do podcasts, it's just sounds in your ears. We do video as well. So just go to YouTube or go to onpodcast.com. My final thing I want to show you before I get out of here and let you guys eat is my favorite tweet of all time. It's not the one I'm about to show you. It's the response to it, okay? I've seen every tweet in history, and this is the best one ever. So, Men's Humor tweets, "This morning I gave birth to a food baby, and I think Taco Bell is the father." You're right. So, who would make a poop joke right before lunch? This guy. Thank you for having me, both of you. So, how do you reply as Taco Bell? Right? As a brand, you can't stoop to the low form of humor that Men's Humor is. There's no lower form of humor than them. And they reply with the only reply possible, and they said, "I want a DNA test." Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you, Missy and Sean.